Hello today.
Hello.
So, first question. What for this channel is?
What who this channel is? The World Inner Peace channel. It is to spread inner peace to all around the world, to each and everybody who exists in this time. The inner peace creates outer peace, and it is important for everyone to start enjoying the inner peace that we have all the time. And then we create our own reality, physically, visually, mentally, and now it's been referred as a society. And the word society itself means friendship. So it is not a society, it is the biggest friendship that we have. All humankind is friends that we have created. I mean, the friendship. So, because we are one family with the name of human, and because we are one kind, and because we all want just to be and enjoy the peace, we need to have this channel, a channel that creates the channel that inner peace travels around us, or the message of it, message of the inner peace travels around the world and reaches everyone in this time, so that everyone can enjoy our own time that we have been honored, and then we can inherit the inner peace time to our children and to our grandchildren and to their children. And it is important, and because we exist now, the time is now, so we all got to do it, and that's why we started. I started, and then now with the gratefulness of the gratefulness of probably glory, you are here too. And I appreciate that.
What is the reason of stress?
Stress. Well, you see, if you look for a definition of a stress, you cannot find it, because it is man-made word. It is not a human, it doesn't belong to the human language. And that's why we don't understand. And to define, or to give a clear definition about it, we need to go back to the linguistic part of existing, and nowadays we say linguistic part, but the original, the human language. And then we need to acknowledge what is a human language and what are the man-made language, because we have created so many man-made languages, and one of them is medical language. So medical terms that no one understands, and stress belongs to that. And then the medical language itself belongs to the scientific language. So the origin of it is the scientific language. Today we got lost track, because they started naming things with a completely different term that no one understands, and we lost track of the origin and of the livelihood of words, because each word has a life. It has completely true meaning, and the original meaning of each word has so much power that changes things directly in a moment. So livelihood has been disappeared because we have created so many languages, especially the scientific language. And now those who are going through science, they don't understand what they do. They just copy, and what had been done, and then that's called research, but it is not a research. And they just copy, and that's why, we have created a new humankind called PhD or doctors. And that's why 51% of the doctors or people who has PhD degree has no job in this world. 51%, they don't have a job. It is a big number, significant number, because that we should really consider. And then until now, we thought that when we get a piece of paper, we become a doctor. But now the time had come to acknowledge that this creature called human remains human all the time and never change or switch into a doctor. Because doctor is just a name. And no one can become a doctor. No one becomes a doctor. It is impossible to shift from being human and into doctor. There is no such a shift. It is just a piece of paper, and we thought we become a doctor. That's what I thought too. So I realized after all these things that no one becomes a doctor. We just get a piece of paper.
So how we can release from these many languages?
Well, we need to accept, number one, globally we should accept that scientific language is not a human language. It is man-made language that no one understands and no one speaks. Probably many writes on it, uses in written form of it, but no one speaks. And for example, you said stress.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you go out, even in my language, I am Mongol, and my mother tongue is a Mongol, as we know now. So even in Mongol, we don't have a term called stress, and we use stress word as it is. So if you go out, stress, and everyone understands, everyone pretends to be understanding it without knowing, and everyone says, I have a stress, I'm stressed, and they don't know what stress is. So the one who created this word, brought into life, that one knows what is the true meaning of this word. So probably, it is, and then another example I wanted to take was linkage. So for example, linkage, when we call it linkage, we think it is something special, and we don't know what it is. So in reality, in human language, there is another word which refers to linkage, and that one is water. So if we say water, we understand it right away. And that's the purpose of a mother language, mother tongue. The mother tongue should refer inner peace, number one. And number two, it should be understandable to everyone with its original meaning. So when we say language, then people don't know. Even doctors, existing doctor people, they don't know what the language is, because they've been told that language is important and they don't know what the language is. So when it comes to a simple human language, it is just water, then we know what the water is, and then we all know that 70 to 80% of our body consists of water. And So we create these kind of things that doesn't exist in reality, new with the new terms, and then we get lost in this lost translation, because this is, you see, translation of human language into a scientific language, or into medical language that no one understands. So there was a mistranslation, and today in the morning I was thinking about why mistranslate, why use translate, we use, because where this word come from, because it says translate, so the meaning comes late.
Yeah, exactly. Interesting.
So we never realize, we don't understand what we talk, and one of them is this. And then at the World Congress of the Holistic Healing that happened in July this year in Geneva, I also said about that, and I asked them, because they started, we started talking about oncology, and I said, I question, do you know what is oncology? And people said, yeah. What is oncology? I said, what is oncology? they cannot define it, because they don't know what oncology is. So they've been told that oncology exists, so they think automatically accept it, because they think they are professionals. They forgot that they are human. So they think, wow, oncology is this thing, and now we need to consider this thing and start dealing with this thing, but without knowing what's the true meaning of oncology. So oncology means tumor, and oncology means cancer. They're all the same thing. And the origin of this understanding didn't come from these words. The origin comes from the swelling. So in a human language, it is swelling. It is not an oncology, you see. So when we start using all these inhuman terms, then we get lost in the words, and then we don't know what we talk and how to deal with it. And until now, our kind had been having a huge headache how to deal with oncology, because they don't know what oncology is. So, but when we call it swelling, we all know, because it's just a swelling, and there is no big deal in it. And it is in true action, because the existing, the thing, which now we call it cancer or tumor or whatever, oncology, it is just a swelling. And in a etymology, if the one would Google etymology of oncology or tumor or cancer, then it will bring to the word swelling. So it is exactly the same thing. Stress, and anxiety, and then autism, and STD, and then so many things. We created it, and we named with completely unknown name that no one understands. So we should avoid all this. We should accept that it is not human language, and in our human language there is no such terms. And then we start using means going back to the human language, that is the mother tongue, because in the mother tongue we don't have this kind of terms. It is too harsh, because you see, we are one kind, and we should be loving, respecting, and being tender to one each other. But now we have created these kind of words and say, hey, you have a tumor.
Could you tell us more about swelling?
The swelling. Well, when it comes to swelling, number one, we need to understand how we work. Do we work mechanically, or we work automatically? And then if we can find an answer to this, it will make it so many things a lot easier. And number one, we work automatically. So that swelling thing happens itself. It's not because of anything else. It doesn't happen because of food. So if the food is a source of cancer, that existing science say, there are so many people who leave the garbage
Mm-hmm.
in the swamps and they eat literally trash.
Mm-hmm.
They eat and exist happily because they smile too. They have a family, they have loved ones too. So there is no difference between them and living in a house. So you see, they eat and exist. They exist eating all this thrown away meal, and they don't have the cancer. So you see, so if we think it happens because of water, then it will happen because of water. But it's not because of water, it is because of us. And this had been approved lately, and now it's said, now lately the people in medicine, they started talking about placebo effect.
Mm-hmm.
So the placebo effect is not really a placebo effect. Like, when the one has a headache, if you give a piece of bread, round chip of bread, and say this is really good for headache, then it helps. So it is not in the bread, it is not in anything else, it is here. So when the one takes action for themselves, any action, that helps. So the true power of our kind is this. So it is very important to acknowledge that we work automatically. So nothing happens because of anything else. Everything happens just because of us. So even, anything. Now the whole world has got lost in HIV. But if the one would go around the world and try to find or seeking for HIV existence, no one can find it.
What is HIV?
The speed that people are talking about, right? So it is the same thing. It is a little swelling part. The reason why it gets swelling, why, you see, the swelling means itself. There's a little thing, and then it becomes bigger. So there is something happening in the body itself. So if you think if it is conscious or unconscious action, then it is of course unconscious action, because it happens itself. No one wants to have it swollen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so it means it is unconscious action. And if it was a conscious action, we could say, no, I don't want to have it swollen. But we don't know. It happens itself. So the reason here is, let's say for example, now liver cancer. Okay, in Mongolia, one of the biggest problems is the liver. That's what existing science say. But in reality, science doesn't say anything, because science cannot have a life. It doesn't exist. You see, there is no such thing called science that exists in this world. It is just, the science itself is a building and our kind sitting there and working. So we have created a new thing called science too. So, and the science itself doesn't mean science. Science means, actually the origin of the science is a Latin word called scientia, and that one means no. That's it. So it is not about science, it is about knowing. Even doctor doesn't mean a doctor means a teacher. So you see, but everyone thinks doctor is a humankind, but in reality the true life meaning of this word doesn't mean a doctor, it doesn't refer to a doctor. It refers to a teacher.